Have you ever felt like your brain is just full, like you have a million tabs open, notifications are constantly pinging, and you're talking all day but not really saying anything meaningful? That was me, exactly 1 month ago. I was completely burnt out, overwhelmed by the constant noise of the digital world and even the sound of my own voice. So, I decided to do something pretty radical. I embarked on a 30-day digital and verbal detox. For an entire month, I shut it all down. No social media, no news apps, no endless scrolling. And the even crazier part, I stopped talking, unless it was absolutely necessary. I communicated through writing or just didn't. I know it sounds extreme, and trust me, I had my doubts. Could I actually do it? What would I miss? Would I go stir crazy in the silence? Today I'm going to share everything about this life-changing experiment, the good, the bad, and the surprisingly profound. Let's start with the rules I set for myself. For the digital detox, it was pretty straightforward. No social media apps, that means no Instagram, no Tiki-Taki, no Shees, no Facebook. I deleted them all from my phone. I also banned mindless web surfing and news consumption. My phone was basically just for calls, texts with close family, and navigation. The verbal detox was a bit trickier. I live with my partner, so complete silence wasn't an option. The rule was no unnecessary chatter. If I needed to communicate something essential, I would, but small talk, gossip, complaining, and just filling the silence with noise, all out for everyone else. I explained I was on a verbal fast and would be communicating via a small whiteboard or text. I was nervous about how people would react, but I was also incredibly excited to see what would happen when I just stopped. The first week was, to put it mildly, rough. The phantom vibrations in my pocket were constant. My thumb would instinctively try to open apps that weren't there anymore. It felt like a part of my brain was missing. I experienced a level of boredom I hadn't felt since I was a kid. The silence was even harder. I realized how much I used talking as a crutch to avoid awkwardness, to process my thoughts out loud, or just to feel connected. The urge to just blurt out a random thought was almost overwhelming. There were moments I felt incredibly isolated. I'd be in a coffee shop, and instead of scrolling on my phone, I just sat there. I watched people. I listened to the sounds around me, and honestly, it was uncomfortable. It felt like I was the only person in the world who wasn't plugged into something. My brain was screaming for a distraction, a quick hit of dopamine from a like or a funny video. This initial period was a real battle against deeply ingrained habits. But then, somewhere around day 8 or 9, a shift started to happen. The intense cravings for my phone began to subside. The silence started to feel less like a void and more like space. With no digital input and no verbal output, my mind had nowhere to go but inward. And what I found there was fascinating. My thoughts became clearer. Without the constant chatter, both external and internal, I could actually hear myself think. Ideas that had been buried under layers of noise started to bubble to the surface. I started journaling, and pages just filled up effortlessly. I was having full, coherent thoughts from start to finish without being interrupted by a notification or the urge to say it out loud. It was like my brain was finally getting a chance to defragment itself. My creativity just exploded. I started painting again, something I hadn't done in years. I was solving problems at work with a clarity that surprised even my colleagues, who were now getting very concise emails from me. The verbal detox had some of the most surprising benefits. Not speaking forced me to become a much better listener. When I was in conversations where I was the silent observer, I absorbed so much more. I wasn't just waiting for my turn to talk. I was truly hearing what the other person was saying, noticing their body language, their tone. It deepened my connections with people in a way I never expected. My partner and I developed a new way of communicating. We had to be more intentional. A simple touch on the arm or a shared look conveyed so much more than a throwaway comment ever could. It made our interactions more meaningful. And when I did have to speak, my words had more weight. I chose them carefully because speaking was a deliberate act, not a default setting. I stopped complaining about little things because it was unworth the effort to write it down on my whiteboard. It was a real-time filter for negativity. Let's talk about the practical side effects. My sleep improved dramatically. Without the blue light from my phone before bed, I was falling asleep faster and waking up feeling genuinely rested. My anxiety levels plummeted. The constant low-grade hum of social media comparison and news-induced stress was just gone. I felt calmer and more present in my own life. I also found I had so much more time. The hours I used to spend scrolling were now filled with reading actual books, going for long walks, cooking elaborate meals, and just sitting in my backyard, watching the clouds. It sounds cliché, but it's true. I was rediscovering the simple joys of being alive, unfiltered and uncommented upon. I was experiencing my life directly, not through a screen or by narrating it to someone else. It was just for me. Of course, it wasn't all sunshine and peaceful contemplation. There were challenges. I missed out on some social things. It was hard to coordinate with friends when I wasn't in the group chat. I definitely felt a bit of social FOMO, the fear of missing out. There was one time a friend had a last-minute get-together, and I only found out about it days later. That stung a little. Also, not speaking could be incredibly inconvenient. Trying to order a complicated coffee or explain a problem to a customer service rep using a whiteboard was an adventure. Some people were confused, others were impatient, but most were surprisingly accommodating and curious once I explained what I was doing. It taught me patience and resilience in a very practical way. I had to let go of caring so much about what other people thought and just commit to my own well-being. So, what happened when the 30 days were up? The first time I opened Instagram, it felt like a sensory assault. The colors, the speed, the sheer volume of information was overwhelming. It was like my brain had been reset to a lower, more natural frequency. And the digital world felt jarring and artificial. The same went for talking. The first full day of speaking freely, I felt exhausted by the end of it. I was so much more aware of the energy that goes into constant communication. This experiment fundamentally rewired my relationship with technology and with silence. I realized I had been using both as a way to escape myself, to avoid being alone with my own thoughts. The detox forced me to confront that, and in doing so, it gave me back my focus, my creativity, and a sense of peace I hadn't realized I was missing so badly. Now, I'm not suggesting everyone needs to take a 30-day vow of silence and throw their phone in a drawer, but my experience has convinced me that we all need to be more intentional about creating space for silence and disconnection in our lives. I've integrated some of my detox habits into my daily routine. I have no phone hours every evening. I've turned off almost all notifications. I take moments of silence throughout the day just to check in with myself. I try to listen more than I speak. It's not about being extreme. It's about finding a balance that works for you. It's about reclaiming your attention from the countless things vying for it and directing it toward what truly matters. It's about learning to be comfortable in the quiet, because that's often where we find our truest selves. If you're feeling burnt out, overstimulated, or disconnected from yourself, maybe a mini detox is what you need. It doesn't have to be 30 days. Try one day. Try an afternoon. Turn off your phone. Resist the urge to fill the silence and just see what happens. You might be surprised by the clarity and peace you find. This journey was one of the hardest but most rewarding things I've ever done. It taught me that true connection doesn't come from being constantly plugged in, but from being deeply connected to yourself first. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your own experiences with digital or even verbal overload in the comments below. Have you ever tried a detox? What are your strategies for finding quiet in a noisy world? Do not forget to like this video if you found it helpful and subscribe for more content about living a more intentional life. Thanks for watching.